What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Echoes in the Dark. My name is Bludborn, and we have a rather unexpected thing in the producer's letter from the Lord of the Rings Online. And there are a couple things I want to go over from that, and that's actually going to be the bulk of this, and then we'll see where it takes us. So first and foremost, these letters are typically from Severlin, who is the executive producer at Standing Stone Games. He oversees Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons and Dragons Online. And last year, when Raninia stepped in as the producer for Lord of the Rings Online, some of that stuff started to change. Some of the communication started to change. Some of the interaction with the community changed. We don't hear as much from Severlin. Most of the stuff is direct communication from Raninia now. And so one of the first things that you are going to see is that with this letter, one of the things that Raninia is planning to do here is to make this a quarterly thing rather than a once a year thing, kind of the, beginning of the year. And this is it. This is what the plan is for the next year. Traditionally there's some issues with a yearly, projection anyway, because things change pretty rapidly. And we saw that over the last, 2 years with COVID, that, with development studios having to do a lot of work remotely, things not going as quickly or as smoothly as planned. You maybe have plans for a specific feature, and then all of a sudden it's outside of scope, outside of budget. There's something else that comes along, like maybe when the Windows update came around that, they're not going to be supporting 32-bit stuff anymore eventually. So that changes plans and things like that. So all that being said, there are things that happen that can change the course of development, to no fault of the studio. Some things are within their power, some things are without. And so switching that to a quarterly cycle is probably for the better. And, that will give the community, 4 points of contact throughout the year, with kind of like a guideline of where they're going, what the plan is, and so on. So I think that's going to be a pretty good thing. One of the first things that they are talking about in here really is they're jumping right in and talking about a new raid. And that is typical with an expansion pack. We are looking normally at, you've got a couple 3-mans, a couple 6-mans, and a raid. Now, what's been a little bit different with Gundabad, it has been that the story was a lot longer, and I actually just completed this last week, and the story was fantastic. I won't go into too much detail because I know there's a lot of folks out there that haven't been through the whole story within the game, and just know that it's actually really cool, and it does dive into a lot of the historical things that happen in the Dwarven lineage, which is really cool. I personally like the Dwarven lineage stuff quite a bit. But what it looks like here is we are going to have a new raid, the Abnankara, or the Hidden Horde. So it's basically described as once a great treasury housing the golden coffers of Durin the Deathless. It has been claimed by Hrimil Frostheart as her lair within Mount Gundabad. Within the frozen retreat, Hrimil tends to her wounds and slumbers, dreaming of vengeance upon Prince Durin and the dwarves of the Gabilika. So this is pretty interesting because obviously we've already had a raid with Hrimil as the main antagonist, the final boss being Hrimil, and where she chases us out of the Anvil of Winterstith. We see her outside of the gates of Gundabad in Amdam Damul, and she freezes the door shut, and that's basically where we start this expansion. So all that stuff is pretty cool. So it's kind of neat that the arc with the Dwarven storylines has really been Hrimil, and I think it's pretty cool. The stories kind of intertwined with the raid have typically been pretty good over the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to see what this one is. Now you got to remember too, is that over the last couple of years, the style of raid has changed too. So we don't know quite yet. Is this going to be a single boss raid? Is this going to be a multi-boss raid? Is this going to be more like Amdam Demul, where it is, there's really only 2 bosses? Is it going to be more like Remerkant or Anvil of Winterstith, where there are 4 main bosses, 3 side bosses, things like that? We simply just don't know that yet. But according to this letter from Raninia, we should be looking forward to seeing the new 12-player raid on Bullroar, which is the public test server, soon. So I don't know if we'll be able to get in there and check it out. I would like to. I need to really partner up with some folks within that server and see what we can do, but we'll see what happens with that. Now, the next thing on here that they're talking about is something that a lot of people in this game like. It doesn't really have a whole lot of interest for me personally, but premium housing, they're looking at doing that with Erebor, and there's some interesting things here because they are going to be doing some new hooks for placement and things like that, changing the exterior music, changing the day file, so you can actually change, I guess, the time of day it is when you go to your house. And so you can even change it to where your yard is private, so people you can go full on Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn, to where people can't even go in to your yard. So like I said, that is coming. I know there's a lot of folks in the community that love the housing stuff, and I think it's still a cool thing that people can enjoy. But me personally, it's really just additional storage for me, and I throw up some housing items here and there. I've got my spectral guards walking around because I think that's kind of cool, but I very rarely even go to my house. It's just not something that is terribly interesting to me. So I'll just kind of leave that one at that. So if you like housing, you got some more stuff coming. And I would imagine in some point in the future, we've got probably we've got 2 Race of Man premium housings, and then we've got what's the other one? I'm kind of blanking on that. Like I said, housing is not typically my thing, but because you have the Bay of Belfalas, you have the ones in Rohan, and you have these. So I guess they're gonna have to do some elven ones and some hobbit ones at some point. So like I said, we'll see what happens with that. The next thing on here, they're actually talking about the legendary item reward track. Now, I know this has been a hot topic for a lot of folks since the new legendary items released, because it was kind of a bummer because, they've got this new system that they're really proud of, but then there was almost, unless you were doing it as a fresh character and going through the experience right at the gates of Moria, there was almost zero tutorial on how to do this stuff, where to acquire things, how to do it, what to do with your old items, what's going to happen with them. There was some additional communication that came out afterwards that I guess you could kind of say cleared it up, but I think for most people, they've been relying on the community to kind of handle that stuff with guides and videos and all that kind of stuff. But the piece that was missing was the reward track. And the best way to think about the reward track is kind of like a battle pass. And I know just even saying that phrase just irritates some people to no end because they hate battle passes and all that stuff. The reality is with battle passes is that they're highly successful within the gaming genre. Just the industry rather, and it kind of really started with Fortnite, being able to just play the game and earn rewards to unlock cosmetics and things like that. This is a different take on that because it's specifically designed that by playing the game and participating throughout the season, you will get things that will advance your legendary items. Now, they do talk about it that they will be planned to run for 3 months. So I would imagine some of that stuff may tie into producers letters too, like updates and letting you know what's going to come in the updates. Yeah, so it'll give rewards based on your play that will help you progress your legendary items and a few other goodies as well. So we might actually see some cosmetics in there. So I would really just look at this like a battle pass. Like, so if you've played, Fortnite, if you've played Apex Legends, if you've played Call of Duty, if you've played pretty much any modern shooter game, a battle pass is really, kind of where it's at. I know this is a particular issue that some people have is, so after each season, the rewards will refresh and you'll be able to progress anew. All of your characters on the world will contribute to your reward track progress on that world. That means your main and your alts all help towards earning awesome rewards. So again, this still really isn't super clear. So like, as me having my main character, am I gaining, like if I'm playing my hunter, for example, am I gaining stuff that I can use on the champ? Is it kind of like everybody, all of my characters on the server have access to the particular tier unlock? Again, there's just not a whole lot of information out there yet for it, which is kind of a bummer. But it looks like we're going to be looking at that in the early part of 2022. So we'll be looking at that. Looks like around February is when they're trying to get all this stuff out. And that'll be along with a raid too. It sounds like a lot of this stuff they're shooting for February. I think that the reward track is actually kind of a good thing. Most of you guys know that I'm fairly optimistic when it comes to new things. I like to at least give it a shot. I think it's tough to be what do I want to say here, just like overly negative on every attempt to make progress in a game. Things have to evolve and change as the industry does. And something I've been critical of over the years has been, I think that there has been a severe lack of art, essentially. And what I mean by that is things like cosmetics, mounts, titles, skins, weapon skins, the auras, your character portraits, all those kinds of things. There's so many things that could be monetized in the game to kind of pull back on the content side, give more of the content for free. And because let's be honest, people love to look different and have all kinds of crazy weapon skins and stuff. Like, it's very well known, that's not a secret by any stretch. So we'll see what the reward track does. I'm eager to see kind of a preview of it, and maybe we'll get a sneak peek here or there before it releases, and we can kind of check it out. But the last thing on here, and then we'll have some images on here, is that there's going to be a release of a new region, and it is actually going to be south of the Trollshaws, and it kind of sounds very similar to what they were doing with Wildwood. So it's a level 40 to 45 region. I'm kind of surprised that they went the route of a 40 to 45 region, considering that's what Wildwood was. I don't know that we need another one of those level ranges, but maybe I don't know. That's kind of a weird one to me. Is like, I like the idea of having some additional new areas for players to go, especially if you're on like your 200th alt at this point. Like maybe doing some areas that are different and check that out. That would be kind of cool. But I don't know if we need another 40 to 45 one. I don't know. I guess we'll have to check it out anyway. But anyway, you can guys see like some of these pictures here. If you're watching the video version of this, it looks like an extension of Trollshaw's heading down into a Region. So not a big surprise here. I mean, to be honest, it kind of looks plain until you get to some of these dwarven halls that are down here. Like this actually looks pretty cool. And people are gonna say, well, it's a reskin. There's all these assets from Moria that are being used again. It's like, well, look, here's the reality. It's going to look the same for more than one reason. It's going to look the same because, well, you'll see some cultural changes. Like, again, if you're looking at the video one, there's the halls and stuff in here are green as opposed to like gold and onyx and stuff like that. It's a different region. There's going to be those different cultural touches from the dwarves that are in that region, things like that. So, but the overarching theme should be very similar since they're all, related. That should be pretty obvious. So the last thing on here is that, update 32, we'll see the return of the Spring Festival with new pets and housing rewards. That should bring back the boss from the vaults with Naruel, the Red Maid. I think that was because summer is Thrang, so spring would be Naruel. We'll see. They're talking about some stuff here with the legendary worlds. The legendary worlds are a very, very interesting topic for me. I don't know, like, I thought the legendary worlds were kind of executed poorly, in my opinion. I think they should have been like a year. That's probably too much, but I think it should have been a hell of a lot longer on Shadows of Angmar and Moria. And it's easy for an outsider like myself to draw comparisons to other games in the market. So like WoW Classic is still on Burning Crusade. Like they just hit Burning Crusade like a few months ago. So it was level 60 for a while. And what they did is they had a release schedule for the content within the servers or within the expansion pack. It wasn't just like, boom, here's everything that was available up through book 15 in Shadows of Angmar, and then when we drop Moria, this is going to be all the way through everything that was in Philakul and Dar Narbogud and all that stuff, and that's it. Like they could have simulated the same experience from when the first came out. I think that would have been much more enjoyable for people because you're always going to have the people that complain about it and say, hey, there's nothing to do. It's like, okay, saying there's nothing to do is, I'm just going to say it, the shittiest excuse for you don't know what to do and you don't want to do, stuff like deeds and max out your character and stuff like that, or you bought a bunch of shit and, didn't actually want to do the hard work. That's what that says to me, but that's my opinion on it. I hate when people say there's nothing to do. There's 15 years of content in this game. There's something for you to do. All right. So be that as it may, I think that it should have been the duration between expansions on the legendary servers should have been longer, much longer. They're kind of doing that with Treebeard. So it's going to be hitting Moria in January. Yeah, so January 5th, Treebeard is going to make its first jump into Moria. And maybe I should go back onto that one and just dial back the maybe I should just hop on Treebeard again and turn back the difficulty rating just to normal and get up there, because those two, like Shadows of Angmar and Mines of Moria, that was like the most fun I had in the game. That's where I met a lot of the people I still play games with today, were during those time frames. So I guess we'll really just have to see what happens with all that. And they've done some other things with different servers too, so we may get other servers at this point that we don't even have a clue on yet, so we'll see. In March, looks like, well, Shadowfax is going to hit Isengard, and then in March, Shadowfax will be hitting the plains of Rohan. Have more news on Honor making its way to Minas Morgul. So the original legendary servers are hitting Minas Morgul now. So that's only like, what, 2 years old? Something like that now. So, at some point, Honor is going to be just a regular server. It'll be caught up, and that's that. So it's really going to come down to, and then realistically, Shadowfax is going to be caught up too. It's going to be Treebeard that's going to be the one that's kind of lagging behind. And I don't know. I'm interested to see what they do with this stuff long term. And obviously this all comes into play too with the EG7 stuff and console and all of that. So more stuff. There's a lot of movement in this game. It may not feel like it, it may not look like it, but there's a lot of work being done on the game, with the expansion, with the raids and the content, and moving the stories forward, progressing the legendary item system, working on the legendary servers, festival stuff, housing updates, things like that. It's not these big flashy changes that I think some people are expecting or wanting to see. I know that there's probably a lot of people that were excited to potentially hear about, an official statement from somebody at Standing Stone Games about the EG7 stuff. And what does that really mean? Are we going to see visual updates? Are we going to see the console thing? Are we going to see, what do they mean by modernizing the experience? Like, these are all things we want to know. And at some point we're going to have an answer on it, because once 2022 rolls around, which is at the time of recording this, I mean, it's only 2 weeks away. So, the Amazon show, which they're trying to leverage, comes out in September. So we're talking about in the next 6 to 9 months, we should definitely be hearing something about what all this means and what it's going to look like. I think that's also another reason for Raninia switching to a quarterly producer's letter, because there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of change. And if they lock themselves into a year-long, hey, this is what we're talking about, and that whole thing changes because EG7 decides, hey, you're going to be doing this. Here's the Piranha team. Take it. Do all that. Here's the investment. Boom. Go. Well, all those plans that you had for this full year, you're going to not do, piss off a lot of people. And then, so keep the window shorter. So when things evolve and change, it's easier to move that along. Last couple things on here, they mentions that obviously they'll be continuing to work on performance, lag, making adjustments to class balance, continuing fixing bugs, and further refine the new legendary system. These various things will arrive just about every patch, so they're just reiterating they're aware of those things. They are going to continue to work on them. And oh yeah, we have the 15-year anniversary coming up this coming spring in the next few months. So about 4 months out from that. So this game's been around for 15 years. It's been around for a long time. So I think, kind of to sum this all up, it's really interesting to see the take and the avenues that they're going down with this stuff. I think it's a pretty safe start when it comes to what they're doing, what the studio is doing, how they want to progress the game. But again, I think it really comes down to all the stuff that they want to do that maybe EG7 wants to do, and how all that is going to come together. So again, we've got the next big update, which is expected for mid-February. You got the 15-year anniversary. You've got the new raid, the new mid-range level area. You've got the new premium housing for Erebor, and the legendary item reward track, all slated to be coming in the beginning of the year here. So should be pretty interesting to see how this all plays out. There's obviously some updates and some other games that are kicking around too. So I will probably be pretty busy in a lot of these games, and I hope to see you guys in there. So that's going to wrap up this particular episode. I actually am working to bring Trainsworth in and have some additional dialogues and perspective on other MMOs and stuff like that. So I hope you guys will like that. We're going to try to record some stuff here soon and get that out. So I'm excited for that. And if you're not already following over on Twitch, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/Bludborn and give me a follow over there. Also, make sure you're heading over to the YouTube channel and subscribing over there as well. I will be posting this podcast in video form on YouTube. It's also going to be on all of the major platforms as far as podcasts go. And that's going to do it. So hope you guys all have a wonderful rest of the year. In case I don't record another episode before then, look forward to seeing you in game, and have a good one. Thanks for listening. Take care.